it's people all over the country who are waking up and realizing that, that the vaccines were the first step in a larger agenda, which is to, obliterate the middle class, shift huge amounts of money upward to the wealthiest, billionaires, and to deprive America of our traditional constitutional rights.
From the Weston A. Price Foundation, welcome to the Wise Traditions podcast for wise traditions in food, farming, and the healing arts. We are your source for scientific knowledge and traditional wisdom to help you achieve optimal health.
Hey, Hilda here. Censorship is the removal of the most intimate rights of citizens of any country. It takes away the access to information and the freedom to express thoughts and opinions freely, especially those that run contrary to those of the powers that be. Surprisingly, censorship is on the rise in our very own country right now in 2020. This is episode 271, and our guest today is Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Robert is the head of the Children's Health Defense and a staunch advocate for health and medical freedom. Today, he discusses what is happening under our very noses, the trampling of a number of rights that we've come to expect and cherish as Americans: the right to a jury trial, the right to forming our own opinion on a matter, and the right to express it in the public square. He explains where the rights are being violated, who's behind the censorship, and what we can do to defend our freedoms. This is the second of our 6-episode series released on Fridays related to health freedom. This particular conversation is on the short side, I must admit, because it was recorded at the Kansans for Health Freedom event in September, and we were able to catch Kennedy only for a short time before he went on stage. Before we get rolling, a quick shout out to our sponsors. This episode is brought to you in part by Optimal Carnivore. Do you struggle to eat organ meat? Optimal Carnivore has created a unique organ complex from grass-fed animals in New Zealand. It includes 9 different organs: liver, brain, heart, thymus, kidney, spleen, pancreas, lung, and more. Taking 6 capsules is the same as eating an ounce of raw organ meat from the butcher. They currently have a grass-fed organ complex, a grass-fed bone marrow, and a grass-fed liver product. So go to Amazon/Optimal Carnivore and use the code Weston10 to save 10% on all products. That's Weston, WESTON 10 to save 10%. Currently only shipping in the United States. And Bordeaux Kitchen Naturals. These are body care products that are made with grass-fed tallow and lard and support regenerative agriculture at the same time. This line of natural skincare products is made by Tanya Teschke, the author of the Bordeaux Kitchen Cookbook, and she was a guest on the podcast not too long ago. Tanya is a personal friend of mine, and I can personally vouch for the high quality of her artisanal soaps, balms, and body butters made with only the best ingredients, including tallow, lard, natural beeswax, and essential oils. That's why her products are really our family favorites. So go to BordeauxKitchen.com to place your order now, or find her Bordeaux Kitchen Naturals on Etsy by searching for Bordeaux Kitchen, all one word. We will put the link in the show notes. This is Holistic Hilda, and you're listening to Wise Traditions. Welcome to Wise Traditions, Bobby.
Thank you.
Moments ago, you were saying that the Bill of Rights is being trampled. Can you explain what you mean by that?
Virtually all the provisions of the Bill of Rights are under assault right now. The First Amendment is freedom of speech, which, now we're seeing for the first time in American history, widespread censorship. We're not allowed to question the quality of pharmaceutical products or to question far-reaching government policies. And there's no notice and comment rulemaking. We're being told to mask ourselves, to stay at home, to endure lockdowns, to close our businesses, to stay away from our girlfriends. All of these, the freedom of assembly, the right to jury trial has already been trampled by the 1986 Vaccine Act, where you cannot get in front of a jury, even though the Constitution says the right of jury trial will not be denied to anybody, to any American who's injured by more than $25. So all of the rights, and of course the rights to religious freedom, which were one of the first rights to go and to be plowed under by the vaccine ideology, are all under assault. And there's been no debate. There's been no opportunity for comment. There's been no notice and comment rulemaking. There's been no regulations. There's no opportunity to cross-examine witnesses, experts, or otherwise who are pushing this, this agenda. And we're just being told, just do it. And, and the science on a lot of it is very, very shaky. And it's one thing to say, well, it's an emergency because if it's a 2-week emergency, then it's an emergency. But if it's a 7-month emergency, you have time for democracy.
And it's not hyperbole when you say that we're not allowed to question vaccine safety?
Well, where can you say question it? You cannot, under VICA, you're not allowed to. There's no participation of the public at all. And not only that, but even in the press, the pharmaceutical industry now controls the press and the social media. So they literally, if you question vaccine safety, you won't be allowed on a network to do that. And if you do it on Instagram or YouTube or Google, you are removed. You're deplatformed. And it doesn't matter how strong your science is. I had a video removed from Instagram 2 days ago, and it was removed by 3 fact checkers who said because the video had said that coronavirus was laboratory generated. The problem is the video never said that. There was no discussion of the etiology of the coronavirus. It wasn't fact checking. It was just opinion checking, where they didn't like the opinions, but there was no fact on that video that was not scrupulously and rigorously sourced on our website, not on accompanying documents. And the reason they gave for removing it was spurious and just untrue. But that happens all the time. If you speak ill, if you criticize a vaccine, you are not allowed to speak on any of the, social media platforms.
Who are they responding to? Who are those social media platform managers responding to?
Well, they're, on Google, which is the biggest one and which owns Instagram. Google is a vaccine company. So Google makes flu vaccines. Google's parent company is Alphabet and Verily, and they own other subsidiaries that make vaccines. And Google itself has enormously lucrative partnerships, with all the vaccine makers. So they have a $760 million partnership with GlaxoSmithKline to mine information. So they're partners with the vaccine companies. And of course, on the mainstream media, the revenues that they get, the advertising revenues that they get from pharmaceutical companies are enormous and give those companies the capacity to not just advertise, but also to dictate content.
What's interesting to me is that despite the fact that they're censoring, I sense a bubbling up of the public in terms of their interest in the safety of vaccines, and they're questioning them.
Yeah, the public you're seeing, listen, a lot of the public is just cowed by fear, and they're doing what they're told. But there's a certain, and I think growing sector of the public that is beginning to recognize that this is not about public health, it's about tyranny.
And hence why you were saying our rights are at stake. How can we best defend our freedom, our health freedoms, our parental rights, and our human rights?
Well, people have to get involved. They can support organizations like Children's Health Defense and ICANN that are at the forefront, and Charlene and Ty Bollinger and Truth Against Cancer. People are fighting this. You can get involved in democracy. Show up at at events like this, and then get involved with the groups in your locality who are out lobbying legislators, who are making visits to legislative offices every day, and talk to your legislator and say, we do not live in a tyranny. We live in the United States of America, and it's a democracy, and we're not going to live like slaves.
And I've heard of a group. Did you help start it, or did Children's Health Defense start it? That's called Millions Against Medical Mandates.
That's part of our coalition.
And who are those millions?
Well, it's people all over the country who are waking up and realizing that, that the vaccines were the first step in a larger agenda, which is to, obliterate the middle class, shift huge amounts of money upward to the wealthiest, billionaires, and to deprive America of our traditional constitutional rights.
I just want to thank you so much for your involvement, for starting these things that are inspiring us to live lives where we defend our freedoms before it's too late.
Thank you.
Our guest today was Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Visit his website, childrenshealthdefense.org, for more information. And you can find me at holistichilda.com. And for the show notes for this and every podcast episode, visit our website, westonaprice.org, and click on the podcast page. And now for a letter from a recent journal. A couple of years ago, when I asked my wonderful housekeeper, Catherine, how her mother was doing, she said, "She has slowed down a little, but you kind of expect that at 98. I saw Catherine this week and asked again about her mother and received the same report. Her mother's name is Aggie Elaine Campbell, age 101 and 3 months now. Aggie drove her car until nearly age 99. She still lives in her own home out in the country, but no longer walks the 12 miles into town like she often used to do. Her 98-year-old sister recently moved in with her, and Catherine is not sure who helps whom. They kind of help each other. One of Aggie's other daughters lives next door and now prepares the meals. Aggie has a pair of glasses, Catherine says, but she refuses to wear them. All this made me wonder what Aggie ate during her lifetime that contributed to her fine health and longevity. Her daughters have had more health problems than Aggie has. I asked Catherine to tell me what they ate growing up in South Carolina. Well, we had milk from our cows, churned our own butter, and of course had buttermilk. We ate a lot of hog meat. Daddy would buy a small pig and raise it, then butcher it and salt the meat in the smokehouse. We ate that meat with greens like kale, collards, and cabbage, and had lots of tomatoes, okra, and green beans. We had some souse meat from the head of the pig. She told me they had dry beans and made molasses from sugar cane. It seems they dug a tunnel and laid the cane in there and cooked it. They also made chow chow with chopped cabbage, red peppers, vinegar, salt, and pickling spices. We sometimes got bones with beef on them and had that with rice, but that was a Sunday meal. We also had cow's tongue. Mother would cook it, then skin it and slice it. Of course, we had chickens from the yard. We would wring their necks, then clean them and cook them. We used the feathers for pillows. She told me they grew potatoes and sweet potatoes. They dug a hill and put sand in it somehow to preserve them during the winter. They also had corn, canned tomatoes, and okra for soup, as well as string beans. They even canned sausage. They grew peaches and hunted blackberries and picked strawberries. She reports that her mother seems quite healthy. I asked if she ever takes flu shots. Catherine said, "Oh no." She warned all of us not to take them. Mother said, "You never know what is in those." Pretty wise woman, I would say. That's from Janice in Alexandria. Janice, thank you for sharing that story. And you can also feel free to write a letter to the editor with your story or health questions, and we hope to publish it in an upcoming journal. Or you can post a review on Apple Podcasts, and we'll try to get that out soon too. Maybe we'll give you a shout out on an upcoming episode. That's it. Thank you so much for listening. Stay well, my friend. Hasta pronto.
On behalf of the Weston A. Price Foundation, thanks for listening. We have many free resources to support you on your health journey. Visit westonaprice.org to find podcasts, articles, videos, and more. You can also find a local chapter near you for help in finding sources of great food. We invite you to support the Foundation's mission of education, research, and activism by becoming a member. Thanks again, and take care. Wise Traditions is a project of the Weston A. Price Foundation for wise traditions in food, farming, and the healing arts. The content on this podcast is provided for informational purposes only and is not intended to substitute for the advice provided by your doctor or other healthcare professional. It is not intended to be, nor does it constitute healthcare or medical advice.